There you go. Ms. Bauer, have a good meeting.
Thank you. As you heard, this meeting's being recorded. The Scituate Beach Commission is committed to providing an environment of respect during meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there's disagreement. We value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcomed and respected. We ask our committee members and all who participate to commit to these standards to support and respect our communities. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
I motion to accept the agenda and start the meeting.
So moved by Andrea, second.
Second.
Seconded by Richard. All in favor? Aye.
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 None opposed, so motion carries 3-0. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes from the April meeting?
Motion to accept the meeting minutes.
So moved by Richard. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Andrea. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries 3-0. So the first item tonight is the beach entrance signage, and I'd like to welcome the abutters that have joined us. And I'll share my presentation right now on the screen. Oh, yep, of course, it's dropped off. There it is. And so the Beach Commission has proposed that we'll establish signage at the entrances to 6 beaches: Egypt, Hammerock, Minot, Museum, Peggotty, and Sand Hills.
And Ms. Bauer, we do not see your presentation, just so you're aware.
Okay, so I should go back and share screen.
Yeah, let's try that again.
Can you hear me?
We do hear
Yeah.
you, Katie. Yes.
Yay. Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
You're good. And Ms.
Fantastic.
Ms. Bauer, we do see your screen now, so you are good to go.
Thank you, Seth. So as I said, we're proposing a signage at the entrances to 6 of the beaches, and the signs would be hand carved by a local artisan. We've asked community preservation for funding for our project, and that will be on the ballot at the town election, May 20th. The 6 signs are hand carved, as I said, in solid mahogany. The signs will be painted in white and Scituate blue, and they'll feature the Sea Scituate logo on the right-hand side, as we'll see soon. They'll be mounted by the DPW on 6x6 posts with PVC outside and PVC pyramid caps. The Minot sign will be installed directly on the concrete wall at the corner of Blades and Gannett if our proposal is approved. And here's what the sign looks like, the prototype. Are you all able to see my entire screen? It's not blocked on the right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So here's how it look at Minot. Hopefully we get a coat of paint on that wall before installing it. That would be better looking. Here it is at Egypt. Sand Hills. Museum. Peggotty. Hammerock. And that ends the presentation. So the abutters that are joining us, let's see, stop share, great. The abutters that are joining us tonight, do you have questions or concerns you'd like to talk about?
And Ms. Bauer, everyone has the ability to unmute themselves if they so wish, if they can just state their name and address and go with their statement after that, including S. Sullivan, if you want to state your name, address, and your comment.
Thank you, Seth.
No, hi, it's Sean Sullivan, 128 Jericho. Signs look great. I think it'll be a big addition. The only thing I was wondering, going back to the museum beach sign, it looks like it's right next to the existing sign, which is sort of a entry to the beach walkway. So there's an additional beach walkway that's a little bit further down that I think is located across a street and not across from houses across the street. So I just thought with that size sign, it may make sense to go a little bit further down.
Okay, well, thank you for your feedback on that, Sean. We'll take a look at the area you mentioned,
Great, thank you.
of course. Terry, Michelle, or Ann, would you care to speak?
Hi, this is Michelle Philly, 119 Jericho Road. The sign looks great. The only concern we have is the traffic at Museum Beach. Since there's no parking here and people just pulling over to the side of the road to unload and load up and park along the corners and people trying to take turns into the side streets. It's been a little hairy at times. So I just don't know with this, maybe causing more people to come down here, how that might be addressed.
All right, well, thank you for your remarks.
Thank you.
It's hard to say how this will really impact traffic, if it will, be it drawing more people or if it'll simply be clarifying the way for those that are already using it. What did you think about the area that Sean suggested? Would that make more sense with what you have in mind, or?
Well, I think what he says is there's a path to the right of that is kind of at the end of Damon.
Right,
So it's a little bit easier if people are coming down that street, where the other one, again, people would just be stopping in the middle of Jericho to load and unload.
yeah. I'm not sure what we can do to prevent that because, as you said, there is no parking at Museum Beach, and it's a very well-loved beach being nestled there instead of being ocean facing.
Mhm. I just don't know if there, especially when people park close to the corners, it just gets a little dangerous for people trying to come in and out of the streets. I know at least on one of the streets, there's still a no parking sign from a certain spot to the corner, but the one that was on our street seems to have been taken down at some point. So people do tend to park close to the corner there and block people coming in and out of the side street sometimes.
You said that you're on Jericho Road,
The corner of Jericho and Damon.
so the no parking sign was on Damon.
Yes,
Okay,
years ago, there was one. It hasn't been here probably for a couple of years, but it was there in the past.
okay.
And I don't know if it had been there because it had been an issue in the past and they didn't want people parking so close to the corner on the street to go to the beach, or what the deal was.
Do you get a lot of people actually parking on Damon since there isn't a no parking there?
Some people do park on the street and go across to the beach.
Mhm.
But I just said, when they park too close to the corner and people are trying to come in and out of the street, it can be a little dangerous.
All right, all good to know, and we can mention your concerns about the no parking sign.
Thank you.
PW, yes, definitely.
I have a
Anne,
quick question, yeah. Hi, I'm Ann Torn. I'm not in a butter per se, but I'm at 7 Holmes Street in Hummerock. And I just have a quick question, which is, how do you determine where the new signage is going to be? Like in Hummerock, it looks like it's actually on the parking lot, not near the beach.
we wanted these signs to be useful for finding the beach entrances
Mhm.
as far as parking goes.
Okay,
So that's,
yeah, I think it might be difficult in Hummerock because most of the property around the public beach entrance is private property, actually. So,
right.
okay, thank you.
We were trying to get that little strip of land that is town owned.
Yeah.
Thank you. Terry, did you want to speak?
Ms.
No?
Bauer, I don't believe Terry wants to say anything.
Thank you, Seth. All right, so that is the abutter notification. Anyone else have questions, concerns, or comments about the beach entrance signage at this time? Okay, so we'll move to the Oh, too bad Corey's not here for a coastal management update, but we'll move to cleanups. The beach cleanups on Saturday as part of Ship Shape Day were, I think, successful. We had about 150 people show up at 4 beaches to pick up. And it was such a nice day for it. I got really lucky with that. Did any of you do any ship shaping?
Unfortunately not. We were at our many sports gatherings on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Same.
My husband and son went out. I was home with a sick child, but yeah, my husband and Alexander were cleaning on Bailey's Causeway, those 2 parking lots near Minot.
Yeah. Nice. I hope you're feeling better. Everyone's feeling better.
Everyone is. It went through the whole house. It was just took
Always
turns.
does.
Oh,
Mhm.
I was in Syracuse, but when I was just in Humrock yesterday and it looked like there were a bunch of bags. So it looked like a fair number of people did their jobs.
I'm noticing how clean it is too, driving around. It's nice.
My husband definitely noticed. So we participated the last, I think, 3 years, and we've always gone down to Bailey's Causeway to those parking lots. And we noticed, he said that it seems like each year it's gotten a little better.
We'll just keep fighting it.
No couches this year. Let's put it that way.
That's a nice change.
Yeah.
Oh, so also everybody got the flyer about the cleanup for the next 6 months. Any thoughts or questions about that? We were able to hand out a lot of them at the Ship Shape Day event, and then afterwards at Get to Greenbush. Did anybody go to Get to Greenbush? Little gathering at Untold Brewing and stuff. We had a table there and
No,
gave out more
I
flyers.
wanted to make it there because we live in Greenbush, but we just couldn't make it. I mean, too many things on Saturday.
Yes, I know. You all have many activities. I respect your
Saturdays
activities.
can be crazy. It's I heard a few people I know went down and said it was a nice way to get some like community and local business support, which is great.
So we also had the matter of appealing to the local community for funding for the cleanups. I'm not in disfavor of that. I just want to really focus our fundraising efforts on higher ticket items, basically, such as the bike racks, bike repair stations. I haven't let go of that. I think electric bike charging stations would be really cool for a future dream. I mentioned that to Nancy. We'll get to bike racks though in a few. So everybody else want to give their opinions about this, and then we'll get back to
And you're
my.
talking about the idea of sponsorship for the beach cleanups, right? That's where we're at. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I've given my 2 cents in a prior meeting. I think for me, it's actually less about funding and more about awareness and getting bodies and getting engagement. And I think if there's an opportunity to engage businesses in that way, we may end up with more community involvement just naturally, because it's more than just us advocating for an event. I was thinking back, and Kelly, you might remember for the beach grass planting we did. Fantastic. So one of the teachers from Fantastic showed up with like an armful of supplies to help because they couldn't make it, but they came with all of these supplies and materials. And like even organizations like that may want to engage in a way that they post on their social media and get people to come in more of a awareness type sponsorship than a financial one, is kind of how I was thinking about it, but we could evolve it to that.
Andrea, Richard? Anything?
I also share Katie's thought. In my mind, I didn't think that it was more of a trying to just get funding. It was more of a awareness and participation, which then would open the door for awareness and participation in future events.
Mhm.
So I do think that there is some benefit there to opening it up a little bit to some of the local businesses and seeing what, they may have some ways, some community involvement that we aren't even aware of, and just a network that we don't have access to.
All right, well, I'm thinking of sponsorship involving at least payment for pizza. I think that should be our bottom line. And so I want to really understand what you're all thinking about. You're thinking about adding them to the flyer, adding them to the social media blurb, and then pushing it out? Is that?
Having them help us push it out, right? So a lot of these organizations, I would imagine, have social media, have email blasts, have, right, as Andrea is saying, like networks that we don't even have access to. It's interesting. I have some updates for later in the meeting, but I did have a chat with Andrew Goodrich, and we were talking about the town email list. And did you know there's only 1,500 people on the town email list?
Wow.
1,500. So when we think we're connecting, even by getting a town email out, when we think we're connecting with the broader community, it's a small subset. So yeah, I think engaging and having, hey, this, I'm going to use my Fantastics example because they were just so kind when they showed up with stuff for the beach grass planting. They sponsor the Egypt beach cleanup. We say Egypt beach cleanup on July 8th. I have my sticky with my dates. On July 8th, we have sponsored by Fantastics. Fantastics sends all of their email out with all of their attendees to say, hey, come join us on July 8th, Saturday in the morning, come clean up Egypt beach with us. And it may get parents of kids who are at Fantastics. It may get teachers. It may get, grandma who's watching one of the kids that morning to come down. So that's kind of how I was thinking about it. It's a very simple, like sponsored by Fantastics. And then they send out through their social and connections and their network, the event.
I don't want to cannibalize any tiny bit of anything that we have that's worthwhile. And so I would think it'd be more like partnering with them instead of sponsoring. To me, sponsoring is always a
perfect.
financial thing, and I'm open to both. I'd like to be really clear in what we're sort of selling.
Partner is a great word, actually. Is a great word. Rich,
So, okay,
you're going to say something. Sorry.
Well, just to clarify, so you're basically saying that we tell them that they can be added to this good cause and partnered if
Right.
they agree to email their email lists about it and post on their social about it. And so
Because
it's kind of like a contract, even if it's not a contract.
would we only ask one person per event also? Because otherwise, what would our cap be on the number of people we'd add? The number one?
Yeah, in my mind, it would be one, but I obviously can be open to anybody's feedback on that.
I think one partner per beach cleanup kind of makes sense. So that to me, so then you're not opening it up too much. Like you said, Kelly, you're not getting too many cooks in the kitchen, but, and we're just gaining that much more exposure because the flyer is going to list all of the dates, but they're just going to be pushing the one date. But like people will see that, oh, there's a Hummerock cleanup on this date and there is a Minot Beach cleanup on this other date. So that can only help us to have it be circulated.
That is actually a save the date, and we'll also have one-off flyers for each event,
Okay.
which will still list those in smaller type at the bottom, but there'll be more room to add sponsors or partners, I think, on the one-off of each. We can do both.
Well, maybe the flyer could be such that it mentions the others like smaller at the bottom or something, so that it
I'll include the other
for
events.
dates. Yeah,
Dates,
like
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
save the dates for these.
Yeah, yep. This is the overall save the date, but we'll, pull out Minot and keep the other 5 and then drop to 4 and 3 and 2 and 1.
Yeah.
I'll try not to make the one look too weird, but yes, promoting all of them to whomever picks up the flyer or sees the flyer is definitely the idea. So, anyone have any ideas as to who to approach first for a partnership? Do you think Fantastics would be up for it again?
I mean, I think that's a great place to start, even as to sort of pilot this idea, just given their engagement with the beach grass planting. That was just like a kind gesture on their part to come drop off all the supplies and whatnot. So I would, yeah, I think that's a great start.
Katie, would you want to reach out to them?
Sure, I don't mind doing that, yep.
Great. And then how
I
about-
know Untold has done this before because I've attended one years ago now. And I have a feeling, Kelly, it was probably with you at some point in the years prior. I feel like Untold did one at Egypt. I don't know, 2017, 18 or something like that. So I know they've done that before.
You mean cleanups?
Mhm.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I didn't know that actually. So you think they make a good financial sponsor for pizza or?
Yeah, or yeah, however they want to engage, if they'd be willing. I'm sure they probably would be, but yeah, Funtastics and Untold were the two that came to my mind, just because of their engagement in prior activities, right?
Right. Untold just was one of the people that went in on the Ship Shape Day stuff. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Oh, great.
EDC, Economic Development Commission, Scituate Trash, obviously beautification, and Untold Brewing were all part of the planning crew for that.
That's great.
How did that come together, Kelly? Like how did you approach them, or did they approach?
I actually was talking with the head of EDC about something else, and it came up, and she invited me to join them. So,
Okay.
oh, actually, what I was talking about with her was this at that point, the beach entrance signs, and she had the great idea to install it at Minot rather than, keep it on the post because it won't get weather beaten. We've already got the rec sign there, so there's a precedent. We can just move it over. I think it's a great focal point coming down Gannett. I know there's still people that think that might be North Scituate Beach, but that's okay. We all have our preferences.
Another business that we should definitely think about approaching, and I'd be willing to reach out to them, is Mulaney's.
Yeah.
They do all kinds of local community.
Great
sponsors.
idea.
So I would be shocked if the Nortons weren't willing to help out in some way.
So Andrea, would you like to speak with them about a financial sponsorship?
Yep.
Cool. And that would include food, obviously. And if it's
Yeah.
fresh seafood instead of pizza, okay, yes.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. So that's basically everything I've been thinking about cleanups. Anybody have other questions, comments, ideas?
Did you, I know each time you usually have like a tent and a table. Did you want help at all with setting any of that up? Or you kind of have it? I mean, are there any dates that you would want help on because you've got like busy weekends, or just wondering if that makes sense to kind of identify now or just closer to the events?
No, you're right. And I had meant to do that because we won't meet again before the June 10th, right? So we should talk more about this. Thank you. I always appreciate help. And I loved when we were both set up at Minot, Andrea, with your awnings and tables. And I know, though, you said you won't be there for that date, right? The first date?
No, we're going to be in Indiana. Yeah, we're going to visit family.
So I do think I can get Frank from Harbor United Methodist to give us a 6-foot table. So we won't just be using my little, 4 feet, maybe 3 feet square table. I don't know. Rich and Kate, are you planning to be there at that one?
I am, yep.
I was just checking sports. I think that's the last week of soccer, and I coach both kids, so
Okay,
I
no
won't be able to
worries.
make that one.
I will be there, and I think I brought a table last to the plantings that I think I still have. I can bring that if
Yes,
I
please,
if
definitely.
it makes sense, I could also get because we have that pop-up tent and table, and if it makes sense, I could bring that to someone's house, or like someone could stop into our garage or something, if that makes sense, if that would be helpful.
Thank you. That
We
would
got
be.
a couple of those folding tables, and we have one of those pop-up tents and stuff. We're kind of prepared for the outdoors, I guess.
No, you had a great setup at mine at the last time. If
Yeah.
you want to lend that to us, definitely.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll make sure it's available, and then what I can do is maybe I can I could just like leave it on my screen porch or just like have it right at my garage, and then we can just see who might be able to, would want to come and get that.
Sure, definitely. I can pick it up,
Okay.
I'm sure, even if I need to get a truck, so.
It's not that big, but yeah, yeah, you saw the size of the table. It has a handle.
Or I have a big car, Kelly. I can go grab it too.
Oh, good. All right, Richard, you're in
Yep.
the.
Yeah, I could do it the night before or something. Or, yeah.
Great, all right. So, anything else on cleanups?
I have one other thing related to my discussion with Andrew around the stickers, again, which I'll update later, sort of went in a couple directions, which is great. The one thing he asked us to think about is the removal of seaweed from the beaches around the like 4th of July holidays. I know that that's something that he's brought up in other forums, and there was some restriction, and I don't know, have the history of this, but there was some restriction to, and you might know, Corey, but removal of the actual seaweed from the beaches for whatever reason. And he said, we found a loophole. We found a loophole, and I figured out we actually can remove seaweed from the beaches. Particularly worried about Minot and Sand Hill around like the 4th of July holiday. There must be complaints or something about seaweed. He indicated that the DPW cannot do it because they just don't have the manpower to do so. And Mike Cotter from the Scituate Beach Association had volunteered to get, he, I guess, owns a landscaping company, former president of the SBA, and was interested or said he could assist. But he asked us to talk about it and see if there was an opportunity with any of our cleanups to engage in that way, not just with trash, but also the organization of cleanups around seaweed.
So I just had a quick question to clarify. So I'm assuming this is just for the holiday, preparing for the holiday.
It
Okay.
sounds like 1 to 2, like one or two times a year kind of thing.
Okay.
Isn't it illegal to remove seaweed any time of year?
So that was the original thinking, and he said that they found a way that it can be done. I don't know what that means.
That was the extent of it.
I don't know exactly what that means. I'm happy to seek clarification. But that was like, it was a little nugget thrown out there for us to consider.
Corey, can you hear me? You're still muted.
You're on mute, Corey. Yeah.
Isn't it illegal to remove seaweed anytime? Is there a workaround that you know about?
Sorry, I was
Yeah.
I was looking at something else. I don't know if it's illegal to remove seaweed, but the Board of Health does have a policy on it, and I was looking that up on the website, and I'm going there right now. It's on the Board of Health website on the Scituate page. I think it's maybe under pet waste and beaches. Oh yeah, Scituate Public Swim Beach Seaweed Removal Policy. So you can go ahead on that page and find that policy there and read that. That kind of gives you the
Are you looking specifically at the seaweed removal policy or the pet waste removal policy? Because they're all on the
seaweed
same
removal
page.
policy.
Okay, sorry. I was like, there's two policies.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and read that and make a decision.
Maybe that's a follow-up item, Kelly, so we can all digest. And I'm happy to read it and follow up for clarification as well.
All right, that sounds good. We have plenty of time until the 4th, so that was our target.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so
It actually lists several methods of seaweed removal, which I don't think it would have if it were illegal. But it has to be a decision from the recreation director, the public health, the conservation agent, et cetera. So it would take multiple groups, divisions to decide that that's appropriate.
Okay,
And then the beach sticker revolving account would fund the cleanup activities. Unless this landscape gentleman is willing to do it, which maybe he would be.
yeah. It sounded almost like would be willing to participate, but there was an ask to consider like the organization of it. But let's maybe read the policy, do some, I can do a little bit more digging, and we can come
Yeah.
back to it.
I'm a little confused where it goes, like the dump.
Yeah, I don't know, actually. It's a great question.
It's
That's
great
not
to
go
see
to
that.
Bourne- It goes to the Bourne landfill or other approved sites.
Is that on here?
Yeah, it's so if you go to the beach cleanup policy, point number 3, I'll download
Okay.
this and send it to everybody and I'll
Alright.
attach it to the meeting notes.
Thanks, Andrea. That would be great.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Sorry, I'm a fast
there it
reader,
is.
so,
Yep.
and I'm already taking notes on all of this, so.
I'm still on like the Google step. I haven't even gotten that far. Thank you for pointing us to that, Corey. Very helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're gonna bounce back to Corey now for a coastal management update, should she be so interested.
Sure, and I do apologize for my late arrival. So coastal management update. Let's see, we'll start with Minot because that is moving forward with beach renourishment. So we have a preliminary design, which the engineer is currently refining into a final design based on the amount of funding we have. And he has given me a pretty specific gradation of the material that will be placed on the beach. And it is going to be like 75% sand. And then like maybe 10% gravel or something like that. And I can send it around to you tomorrow when I get on my work computer. I just don't have it right with me at the moment, but it's going to be mostly sand. So it's not going to be, and it's going to be compatible with what's there right now. So most of what's there is sand with a couple little cobbles mixed in. So it won't be any different than what's there now. And then when it is first deposited on the beach, it'll be more like a brownish tan color. So it will be a little bit of a different color than what you see right now, but over time it will become bleached by the sun and the waves and everything, and it'll be more of that grayish, become more of that grayish color that's currently there. And if you want to see an example, you can head on down to Duxbury Beach State Reservation, because they just did a beach nourishment project, and it looks amazing. I think that it was the first time I'd seen beach renourishment using that mixed sediment size, so it looks great. I think they did a really good job. And Duxbury Beach State, the reservation, just they run a really tight ship over there. They've got it's pretty nailed down because they have the birds, the piping plovers, and the least terns, and they did an amazing dune restoration project. So if y'all want to take a little field trip for the next meeting. And then the other project is Cole Parkway redevelopment. We're still waiting on getting a little bit more topography data, and then we'll be able to hire an engineer to do some improvements to that. And that will include improvements to the drainage system, because as you probably have noticed, water comes up through the storm drains during high tides. So there's some investigation that needs to be done on the drainage system and why water comes up instead of draining. Then we will also be doing some regrading of the parking lot, and then some probably some raising of the seawall along that some of the corner there where the storm tide pathways come in. So like behind the Coast Guard station. So there's a significant amount of work that needs to be designed and engineered before anything happens there. So it's going to be a little while. But we're working on getting that engineer on board. And we have the scope of work almost ready to go. So that should be moving forward very soon. Let's see what else. Pier 44 project is moving forward as well. We received CPC funding at the town meeting to move forward on that. There was some objection to this funding being awarded based on parking because the new park will take up a lot more space, will reduce the amount of parking spaces that are currently there. So some members of the advisory board did not like that aspect of it. But we're working on maximizing the, trying to find the balance between the amount of parking spaces that's necessary, to allow people to come to the park and enjoy it, and then also have an actual park, because the site's not very big. It's only like an acre. So it's difficult to fit in a lot of parking spaces and still have, some open area for people to hang out. So we're working on, kind of finalizing that design, and then there'll be significant amount of permitting and engineering that'll have to go into that project. So we're gonna get the permitting underway probably in the next month, and permitting could take a year or longer to proceed. So we're looking at construction probably in fall 2024. If the permitting goes smoothly. If not, then, well, it's all kind of up in the air based on what the regulatory agencies say. But since we're improving the site and removing impervious surfaces and restoring, kind of a naturalized area along the shoreline, then it should be, easy to permit, but you never know. Let's see. There's a number of other projects and things that are happening. If you've been out to Peggotty Beach, you might see there's a homeowner that is removing half of their house and moving it onto another part of the beach, but leaving the front half. It's one of those houses that's in the water. So that's quite a scene there. So it's interesting if you go there and you can see they're moving half of the house to another location, but it's like right next to where the house currently is. So that's about all I have for coastal updates. Oh, and there's the seawall. The seawall is kind of hung up under permitting still. Because CZM is looking for a commitment from the town to do beach nourishment in front of the seawall. And that's at the Sand Hills beach area. So that is causing some delays.
All right.
Any questions?
Thank you so much, Corey, for your report and for joining us at any time. Always. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So beach reports. Who wants to be first?
I can go. I was there last Saturday and I didn't notice that house at all. I mean, I must have just missed it completely. It was Saturday or Sunday. I didn't notice.
Same, I
Um,
was just there yesterday and I didn't see it.
There were mutt mitts in full supply, so
Oh, good.
that's good. So I know we've talked before about the neighbors taking sand, and so I was there. It was right. I took video and pictures of somebody had a big, it must have been a wedding, because there are signs saying the two people with directions, and one of the houses right on the beach had a huge tent this past weekend. And the weekend before that, while I was driving by, I saw like a huge vehicle, like a forklift or something, just taking sand out from behind the house and dumping it in front of the house over and over and over again. And in hindsight, I realized what they were doing was clearing the way for the big tent that they put up for the wedding. So that I don't know like where that is, Corey. I know you've kind of talked about it, but they were in full effect 2 weeks ago, moving sand from the parking lot area to the beach. The rest of the beach, I mean, as far as everything else, really clean. The seagrass is there, looks good. As I said, the mutt mitts were there. It's been,
Yeah,
it's been good.
and some of them do have permission to move sand from behind their house because there's a parking spot for them. Like there's technically like a road that goes behind those houses. So some of them do have permission. Sometimes they're supposed to get a permit to do that,
Yeah.
but
Maybe they did.
I can check with Amy. I just saw Amy, the conservation agent, today, and she was like, we were like crossing paths. She's like, hey, I need to talk to you about Peggotty Beach, but I gotta go. So, and I was like, all right, we'll talk tomorrow then. So,
All right.
you know, there's probably something happening there, but and we at the Coastal Advisory Commission, we talked about sending out letters to the homeowners, and we were all set to kind of do that, and then at the last minute it kind of got derailed. Some members thought that the role of the Coastal Advisory Commission is to advise the select board, not to tell people what to do. So unless the select board takes a more active role in enforcement, then it's kind of like there's not, like, writing a letter is not the best way to go about it, at least from the Coastal Advisory Commission's perspective. So the letter has to come from either the Conservation Commission or like the police.
Other than Peggotty, it looks like, you know, there were new, they were getting ready for the summer. They had new no parking signs and things like their new kind of stay off the dunes signs, it seemed like. So new handicap. It looks like getting ready. Looked good.
I'll go for Minot real quick. Minot looks pretty good. The concrete barriers at the entrance of Gannett Road and almost where Bailey's Causeway and Glades intersect, those have both been moved so people can access the beach. Those were moved right at the beginning of the month. There's not a Moby mat yet, so I don't know if they're still in the process of putting those out. I know I saw a Moby mats at Egypt Beach, but I don't think they're at Peggotty yet.
Yeah, there wasn't one at Peggotty. Yep.
Yeah,
About the water safety station.
that's not at Minot. That's not at Minot yet. I don't, where is it at Peggotty? Did he make one for Peggotty?
No, don't just
Okay.
stand in Egypt.
Okay, I don't remember seeing it at Egypt either. So I know it's not at Minot.
No, it's not at Egypt yet. The
Okay,
boardwalk is, but not the water safety station.
Yeah, at Mina, there's no Moby Mat, there's no station yet. The mutt mitts were empty. So,
Yeah.
and I know trash cans aren't like out yet either. It's just the one that they have over the winter, basically. It's like 2 total. And like porta potties aren't out yet either. So, but the beaches themselves, I mean, the beach itself looks good. And I think Ship Shape Day did a lot to get some of the lingering litter, which was nice to see.
Great.
I don't have much else to report for Humrock either. I did, when last time I was down there, the Moby Mat was not out at Humrock, but there wasn't really much. It was a couple weeks ago, so it was before this like nice weather really kicked up as well. So I can go back down and check. My biggest update was and Anne just dropped off, but my biggest update was that I had a chance to connect with Anne Torin, who is the South Humrock Civic Association's new president. And she joined earlier and spoke about the Humrock signage. And we had a great conversation about, I learned a lot about their association in the Humrock region, some of the history and some of the activities that they do. I did learn that the Humrock Beach Improvement Association is no longer really in existence since pre-COVID, but there is going to be a push from the South Humrock Civic Association to expand their reach for what they're calling associate members in Humrock beyond just South Humrock into North Humrock, and essentially take over the duties of what the Humrock Beach Improvement Association was doing. The other thing that Anne had mentioned was that she really would like to start pushing more of the messaging around the civic part of their association, and so is quite interested in some of the things we're doing around cleanups and how the Civic Association can get involved in those types of things, beach grass plantings, things that we partner across the organization, across the town from a civic association. So I thought that was a really great outlet and a connection to now have, and we can continue to build on. So that's really the biggest advancement from Humrock. Definitely more connection than I think we had prior.
Oh, speaking of mutt mitts, sorry, I almost forgot about this. So for the mutt mitts, I did touch base with the Friends of Scituate Dog Park to ask them about their waste dispensers, and
right.
Theirs is all self-funded and self-filled. So they're a nonprofit organization, and they do work in partnership with the town in that the DPW clears the big trash cans for them. And I think may help with like some mowing or something, but in terms of the actual waste bags for dog poop and making sure that those are purchased and filled, they do all of that themselves as an organization. So they don't have any interaction with like the recreation department or the DPW on that. But they definitely would love to see mutt mitts available year round.
Anne had mentioned to me, just coming off of that, they have a scholarship program for students who are involved, sort of growing up through the South Humrock Civic Association. And she said, like, I've got a lot of teenagers who are looking for community service hours in the Humrock area. Like, I could probably find someone to stock mutt mitts for the summer. At Humrock Beach. And so I thought that was a great suggestion. Although Kelly, you've had difficulty even getting keys, right, for us to do it ourselves. So I don't know that that's a solution, but did want to throw that out there because that, again, the civic involvement and scholarship hours for teenagers, like that seems like a win-win.
All right, we're kind of slipping the agenda here. Anything further on beach reports? So next is the resident survey. I don't know if anybody logged back in and looked at it, but I did make the changes that we talked about. With one reservation, you can't add a comment box in the free version. And so 2 of the comment areas are limited. I did change all the others to be comment boxes because for some reason, if others an option, it can have a comment box. But everybody please take a look at that. Kate and Rich, who were gonna look into other ways of doing this, what did you find?
Google Forms is pretty easy. I mean, I can take what you did and put it in Google Forms and it won't take long. And we can see which one we think is, but I played around with Google Forms and it's very straightforward.
We definitely want the more robust answers, but it sounds like probably Google will let us have, so. Great.
Yeah, I'll go in and,
To do that?
yep.
Okay, great, go for it.
Kelly, you might have seen my note. As I was kind of doing some research on some of the beach associations, I stumbled across a survey that was done, exactly what we're trying to do, run by the Beach Commission years ago now. I mean, probably 6-7 years ago. I'm sure we don't have access to that data, especially if it was done through like a Survey Monkey or something, but I just wanted to bring it up in case you know of it or were aware of it.
I'm not, but I can look in any past documents that got, sent to me at the time.
Okay.
James.
Because it might be a good starting place to gut check what we've put together.
Do you remember the year that was done? Because I have all of the meeting minutes, the historical ones downloaded, and
Let me look. It was.
I'm just curious if you
on-
found like a general time frame, like if you were like, oh, 2016, then I could look at the 2016.
I think it was 2016, actually.
I
it was
vaguely
on-
recall finding something about that when I first joined the Beach Commission, but I don't remember if I saw results or if it was just like a mention of it.
I think it was on the website of the North Scituate Beach Improvement Association. Hang on one second.
That website
And
is,
it referenced, it's just like an old post referencing, please help the Beach Commission by filling out this survey. Of course, I clicked it and it went nowhere, but I can send it to you, Andrea.
okay. Oh, you know what? I just
It's
found in the
loading
meetings
right
from
now on my
March
computer, but-
22nd, March 22nd, 2016, reviewed Survey Monkey process. So I think I'll look into this and see if I can find something further too. Just from the historical meeting minutes, maybe there's something there. Let's
Okay,
see.
this was posted on August 17th, 2016.
Okay, I'll look there. Thanks.
Sure.
All right, will that do it on the survey for now? Everybody will do what they're supposed to, and we'll get back together on it at the next meeting, how to distribute. Sunrise Beach sticker proposal, Miss Kate.
Yes.
I'll be right back.
Okay, so let me go back to my notes. I did get a chance to connect with Andrew Goodrich to understand a little bit more about the history and the premise for this coming up. Obviously, we had our understanding of how it came up, but in fairness, it had gotten passed, I think, through a couple people. So I wanted to gut check. Where did this come from? What was the purpose? If it evolves beyond Sunrise into an expansion of a day pass, like what's the gut check on that, and just get a feel for, if we're heading in the right direction before we, spend too much time. So there was a sort of a brainstorm with himself and a couple other select board members as a way to get more people in town and utilization of the beaches. So it really wasn't, it was more to generate people coming in support of small businesses. It was not really intended to be like a revenue driver necessarily. In his mind, it was like an in anytime, out by 9 or 10 a.m., limit it to 100, 200, and have them be like $5 a day, $10 a day, something of that nature. And, or sorry, not a day, $5 or $10 for the sticker in general, not like, just again, not a revenue driver, more to get people in town. And he even mentioned like maybe it's a cool design and it gets put on someone's car and someone's like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a Sunrise sticker. Oh, Scituate. And so it was sort of also a mechanism to increase awareness in general. And so I said, okay, that's tracks with what we were sort of talking about. And it, in his mind, it shouldn't really necessarily, it was kind of thought of as like a early morning off season in the shoulder in the winter to try to keep people engaged beyond just the beach season. But we also talked about whether there's a need for a sticker in the off season at all. So I think that's something we could talk about at a later date. But what I did tell him is, well, we were actually evolving our thinking a bit beyond sunrise sticker. That could be still a possibility, but when we started talking about the day pass, that's when actually the energy started around, actually, this could be something that really helps the town, helps solve what could actually be a problem. So a couple things. He was not even aware we had a day pass, so clearly we need to increase our awareness. And so I actually called the harbor master and talked to them, and I spoke with Mike Bierce, who I think is the assistant harbor master, and said, okay, can you tell me how many stickers we sold last summer for the day pass program? It's Tuesday, Thursdays, Peggotty only. And so he's like, I don't know, let me call you back. So he got back to me. 8. They sold 8 last year, all of last year. So clearly there's an opportunity here. So when I gut checked it with Andrew, he really liked the idea of piloting it this year. Where there's going to absolutely be resistance is expanding it to the weekend. But what we could do is increase it from Tuesday, Thursday, Peggotty to Monday through Friday, all beaches. And the sort of advertisement piece of it is obviously critical because people don't know we have it. In parallel, I also went through and started looking at some Airbnb reviews just out of curiosity, because I really went down the rabbit hole on this. There are a lot of reviews saying, I loved my time in Scituate, beautiful house, beautiful whatever, didn't realize I couldn't access the beaches. And when I mentioned that, and some people were complaining because they got ticketed because they didn't know they couldn't park at the beaches. And so they got $50 fines for parking because there was no signage at the beach saying that they couldn't park without a sticker. And some people were saying, I didn't know I couldn't go to the beach until I got here. And it wasn't a Tuesday or a Thursday, and I couldn't get to Peggotty Beach once I realized there was a day pass. So I asked Andrew like what his thoughts were on that, and he said he actually has heard that from people who own rentals in town, and the rental business is actually quite a big one in Scituate. So this could help, I think, with that. But I'll leave it there. I think there's still an opportunity for Sunrise sticker, not abandoning that. It's clearly not driven by revenue. It's clearly more to get the town people around us engaged in a way in our community. He even had said, like, maybe we talk to another select board of Hanover and we say, hey, this is available. We'll give you X number of stickers. It's sort of like a trade-off for some access to, like, maybe they have X amount of stickers for trails in their town or whatever. And so it's definitely more of an awareness. It was coming from a place of awareness and engagement of outside communities in Scituate and increasing the activity at small businesses and traffic in town than it was anything about sort of revenue.
I
think we need to talk about where we want to take.
Well, I'm going to chime in here and just say, so I don't totally understand how a Sunrise sticker really helps out local businesses, because I think anyone in the surrounding towns is aware of the beaches here, because our out of town stickers sold out in what, 6 minutes? 2 minutes? So I think the beaches themselves are pretty well known. And if someone has to be out by 9, does that mean they're going to float down to the harbor for coffee at Lucky Fen? A lot of stores aren't even open at 9. So you're not. I agree. You can't go shopping. I mean, no, I had this dilemma with my kids in daycare. They don't even, nothing opens till 10. You can go grocery shopping at Village Market.
I agree with you, Andrea, which is why I capitalized on that sort of discussion to say, well, if that's really what you're trying to do, and people want to use our beaches, but we don't want to impact the residents in a significant way, because no one likes to get to a beach and not have parking on a Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. Maybe an expansion of the day pass is the way to go. But anyway, I agree with you, Andrew. I agree with your commentary for sure.
I also, in my conversation,
it was more about the like anglers and the surfers and the people who are probably to some degree probably already using it anyway.
Yeah, and that's where the fishing shop and the surf shop both thought that was pretty cool. I mean, we have cousins that surf up in Gloucester and they usually go early morning. You know, they'll go before they log in for the day. So for them, this could make, you know, they're in Gloucester. They're not necessarily going to come down here to surf, but like for them, if they didn't live in Gloucester and we're trying to get to the Gloucester's beaches, I could see where being there before 9 would make a lot of sense. So I think if that's the target audience, it works. But if your target audience is just general, let people know about the beaches, I'm not sure how well it really works.
I talked to Connor about the QR, and I know that's next, but he said that either the sunrise sticker or the day pass, he thought that the new way of checking the passes where like a police car can just go through and scan, his belief is that's in a pilot program this year and will go live next year, and that it's very easy for them to like sell a separate pass that's only valid from during certain hours or certain days or whatever. It's like once the passes are made, you can just like plug in the rules for the pass and do it that way. So it should be very easy to enforce next year.
I would imagine there's already to some degree an infrastructure and process in place because there's already a day pass, right? So there's already, I would imagine, some mechanism for checking that the person either has a sticker or a day pass on certain days of the week at Peggotty. But maybe the uptake of it wouldn't be so significant because there were only 8 last year. So it's not like a common thing.
Well, and there are at Peggotty, there's of the 4 non-resident, like they do have 4 spots you can park in without a pass too.
That's right.
So I think that would also, I know people that use those. So
Oh, they're full all the time.
yeah.
Also at Peggotty, you can park at the ball field or the church and walk too, right? And so, yeah. Anyway, I was positive leaving that conversation that it wasn't a hard no. It wasn't a hard no. There was definitely there's definitely energy around expansion of it. And the best part, I think, if we want to pursue it, is you could pilot it, call it a pilot, see how it works. If it blows up or it doesn't work or there's a problem, like you just pull it back. Right? There are beaches, it's a very easy thing to just stop doing. If it doesn't work. So anyway, I thought that was at least a good step forward. We should probably decide, to your point, Rich, like, is it sunrise and expansion of day pass? Is it neither? Is it sunrise only? Is it day pass only?
I mean, there's more excitement for the day passes, right?
I think so.
I think, well, maybe it could be something that I don't know if we'd want to have to present both to the select board because that can be opening a whole can of worms. But I could, in my mind, if the original goal was more of an economic enticement and like helping the community out a little bit, then the day pass, I think, does that more so, right? You're bringing funding through Airbnbs, and that means people are staying here. So they're getting groceries here. They're getting they're going and eating at TK O'Malley's, they're walking along the harbor, and much more than like the surfers would probably just come in and out. I don't know if they'd be making additional stops. Fishermen might stop at Belkin's and get bait. that
And
might
to your
be
point, maybe a coffee.
Yeah.
So what are the next steps for that, Kate?
Well, I mean, what I'm hearing is there's, again, I wanted to understand because I didn't have the history. I really wanted to understand what the driver of this, what the goal was, right? The driver to the whole expansion of a sticker in any shape or form. And to your very point, Andrea, when I understood it was more about the awareness, engagement outside of Scituate and the economic reasons and less the financial ones from a sticker, it became more obvious to me that that the day pass is a better solution to that. So you tell me, Kelly, I think if we agree that that's something we want to continue exploring, or if we're ready to put something together, I mean, I'm happy to put pen on paper and start constructing what could be a proposal.
I'm in favor of the day pass solution. Definitely. I've been questioning the use of the sunrise sticker from the time it was mentioned.
Okay.
But I hear a lot of good reasons for a day pass program to be, to broaden the options.
Yeah.
Tuesday and Thursday is nice, but what about the other days of the week?
You
Well,
know, one of-
and the other beaches, right?
And the other
that's a big
beaches, I
part of it.
think too, right? Absolutely.
You know,
Um,
one thing that we could do is we could say right off the bat, like, this won't occur like 4th of July week, right? Like, like just say right off the bat with the pilot program, like, we're not even going to touch that week. Because that, in my mind, that seems to be like the busiest week,
It
which
is.
I'm sure some of the Airbnb owners would want it to be available that week, but that would be the time if you're looking outside of the weekend, because weekends are when the parking lots get busiest. Then
Yeah.
I think that 4th of July week, would be pretty big. Although August, from the rentals, I think August is when they get the most money. So they charge the most in August,
Okay.
just as an FYI.
And you figure if
I've done
someone's
lot
here
of
for a
Airbnb
week.
hunting around here for family, ourselves, and yeah.
Can I add something?
Sure.
Please.
So you might want to, I think it's a fine idea, but you might want to use like the Economic Development Commission as a little bit of a sounding board, or maybe like the Chamber of Commerce before you write out a full proposal. Because it would be something that they would probably be interested in supporting or not. I mean, I don't really know, but it's just an idea that you could try to engage those groups as well, just as a kind of check, as a sounding board.
Also, the Scituate Visitor Center, which is an offshoot of EDC.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. I think that's a great suggestion. Okay, fantastic. So why don't I just put pen to paper in terms of like some bullets, right? And you guys as basically the background and the premise for why, and the opportunity, and then we can take it from there and floating it by some other groups for gut checks, but before we continue to push it on.
Just send us a presentation when ready.
Sorry, Kelly.
Just send us a presentation when you're ready.
Yeah, we'll do.
And
Okay,
I gave
good.
you a copy of the template, right, that we use for the proposals?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I
It
wanted
must
to
be
be
my
sure you
children
have
screaming
the-
downstairs.
I just want to be sure you have a copy of the template that we use for the presentations.
I don't know if I do.
Okay. I'll be sure to send
Actually,
it to you.
if you could send it to me to be sure.
I will.
I've seen it. I just don't know if I have the template version. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, anything else on the Sunrise Beach sticker proposal and or the day pass? Okay, QR sticker, anything else to add on that, Richard?
Yeah, the only so I talked to Connor. He approached the DEI commission. They basically said keep us posted. They didn't want immediate involvement. He saw it as a way to not just translate the information, but also possibly a way to like tell a story about the beach or beaches or Scituate, and have it be more than just here are the beach rules in a different language. He was thinking Portuguese for the Cape Verdean community, and Spanish, and then English again. If we kind of say learn more, and then it's more than just the sign, it's translated. You could have an English version too, right? Telling a story. I reached out to Andrea, his kind of, we would have to, get permission to put a QR code there and point to it, but then also we need somewhere to host the actual form that it would go to. So I'm reaching out to the town to see, what needs to be done as far as getting permission to put that on the website somewhere to host it there. And that's where we are with the QR sticker.
That's great. Anyone want to talk about that?
I was just gonna say, I really like the idea of sharing a little bit of the history of the beach, because I know, like, especially at Minot with the lighthouse, there's some really interesting history there that, like, when we first moved, we found fascinating. So that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree too.
All right, great. Floating beach wheelchairs back.
Oh, let me tell you, I'm now foremost expert of floating beach wheelchairs in Scituate. So what's really funny, I went into the rec department and I stood there waiting for the person right there to get off a call. And the call he was on was somebody coming for a week in July and requesting a floating wheelchair.
Wow.
And so that was awesome. Wait till I tell you how many, you want to talk about the email address and how many day passes we give out. It's the same with floating wheelchairs. So I talked to Nick Lombardo. He said that normally it's 10 to 12 requests a year for all three of them combined.
Oh, wow.
Right. So he's all for if we want to promote more, like make it more visible and make people more aware. But the 3 floating wheelchairs we have is plenty right now. There are 3. The one in Humrock is older. It's the first one we had as a town, so it's just older. He said it's totally safe and it works. It's in full working condition. It just is, shows some wear and tear. It just looks old. Everybody who wants to, you have to fill out you have to sign it out basically for liability purposes. So you can't just like walk up and use it. If you walk up to a lifeguard, you have to like call it into the rec department, and it has to be more official. They ask that you sign at least a day in advance so that they can do the sign out process. They have had people who, meet in a truck and take it themselves. They want to go to a different beach. The guy I was talking, Nick didn't mention this, but I guess they've also had rec deliver it to a beach, to a person at a beach before. But again, this is 10 to 12 requests, a year over many, many years. So I don't even know when they were talking about. As far as like visibility of them or promoting them, he said when they got the first one at Humrock, they did a lot of promotion and made a big deal about it, but that not much has been done since. And he's completely on board. He's not worried about, not being able to supply them or having 3 people or 4 people in a day kind of all of a sudden wanting to do it. I talked about maybe getting another one, and he said, we probably need to replace the one in Humrock over the next few years. He was in no kind of, there's no urgency that he sees to do that right now. So based on that discussion, I did not go back to disabilities. I thought I would, have this group kind of decide, do we still want to, what we want to do kind of here, next steps.
Well, I think we should figure out a way to promote awareness.
Yeah.
It sounds like the mechanisms are in place to support that.
I think that's
How would we
step
do
one
that?
for sure.
Right. How would we do that?
Kelly, were you the one that put the flyers up that says, like, did you know we have floating wheelchairs? I
Yes.
thought so. I mean, first, thing, I mean, first easy thing, low hanging fruit, we can send it to all of the beach associations. That flyer or a version of that flyer just for awareness, I think that's an easy step, but that won't, I mean, that's not gonna solve the bigger awareness campaign, but I'm happy to do that if you want to send on.
Hey,
The
Rich,
other
does
bad
the-
thing is that there's only 1,500 people subscribing to the town email list.
I
I
know.
really thought that had good coverage prior to.
Yep. I was shocked when I heard that.
Shocking.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, Rich, I don't know if the Disabilities Commission has any sort of, if they ever advertise for anything or promote anything, promote services.
They're like,
associated with-
where are they? Yeah, I'll
So
reach
maybe,
out.
because, you know, maybe they do have, because it's possible, maybe when people come, maybe, I don't know, maybe they reach out in sometimes, but, or maybe they have a way of some message boards or Facebook groups that, you know, some of us may not be aware of. I don't know. Just a thought. We could also add it to our survey, not as a survey question, but like maybe at the
Yeah.
end, be like, thank you, and then have like 4 facts you didn't know about the beaches or something, and one of them could be, we have floating wheelchairs. I
It
don't know.
actually is a question.
Oh, yeah, that's right, that's right. Gosh,
Yeah.
we all looked
Both
at
the
that last
floating
a month
wheelchairs
ago.
and the water safety stations.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
That's already in there.
Okay, anything else on the floating wheelchairs? All right, bike racks, Miss Andrea.
So, sorry. I got together with Nancy Werner, who went before the select board last night. She is working to, and she got a favorable response, so it sounds like they may go forward and do this, but she's working on having a bike commission, a bicycling commission for the town of Scituate, which would be kind of like ourselves, a group of people who care about biking. So their whole purpose would be looking into like biking lanes or trails, you know, bike racks, repair stations, a lot more than just access at the beach. But you know, she and I met and we started talking about best practices with bike racks and what would be some possible locations. So we went to Peggotty, Egypt, and Minot, and we're just looking at the parking lots for each. The thing we just not discovered, but the thing that is at least at those 3 beaches, and I don't know for Hummerock because I've just not really canvassed Hummerock very well. Whenever I go out there, I'm not looking for that stuff. In Peggotty, Minot, and Egypt. So Egypt does have 3 bike racks on your way to when you're like basically going to the Moby map. But in the other locations, the lifeguards have the best parking. And Nancy was actually thinking she was going to talk to the rec department, I think it's Mora, about is there any flexibility to, you know, we want to make sure the lifeguards are taken care of, but is there any flexibility to maybe shifting those over a little bit to allow more space for some bike racks so that the bike racks are closest to the entrance? At Peggotty, for instance, when you go up to the beach, on the one side, there's the handicap parking and then the porta potty. And then on the other side of the entrance is the lifeguard stations. So I'll send some diagrams. I haven't had a chance to go through them yet, but there's definitely, if you just shift one of them, just move it to the other side, because there's 5 lifeguard spots. You could have room for probably 2. You could put enough bike racks to hold probably, depending on how much room you wanted to dedicate, 10 to 20 bike parking spots. At Egypt, the way that it's drawn out, you wouldn't necessarily have to move anything. There's like some really good cross hatching in one of the corners that you could just make that area that's no parking into bike parking. And then at Minot, the lifeguard, yeah.
Interjection. I think that on that Egypt map, if I understand what she's doing, that's the area that they put the porta potties in.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think it is.
Yeah, I don't think either one of us were aware that that's where the porta potty was. We definitely weren't. So that could, how many porta potties do they put in?
Two.
Are you
Two.
talking
Okay.
about Egypt porta potties?
Yes.
Can I tangent us for 1 second.
Mhm.
I learned in my meeting with Andrew, it's going to bring it up at the end, but it's topical to this conversation. It sounds like and Kelly, this is probably for you to follow up with, but it sounds like the select board may have made a decision about piloting a bathroom install at Egypt. As a general pilot, they're going to rent one of those like luxury type setups that you would see at like events or weddings or something that are outside. And there's a company in Hingham they're gonna work with and contract out from a third party like cleaning services 3 times a week. And so the first one is going to go in at Egypt as a pilot, and if it's successful, they would expand it in future years to the other beaches. It came up because I planted the seed about the price of the beach sticker and whether that was something we had kind of thrown out in our discussions as a future topic. And he said, well, the beach sticker is going to have to increase if the bathroom pilot is successful. I said, what bathroom pilot? And so it turns out that I think it's Jim Boudreau who's working on the rental contract and all of that, but it sounds like that is moving forward, which is good news.
For sure.
So basically, we looked at, like I said, like a few different areas. For a couple of the beaches, the lifeguard spot, for all of the beaches that we looked at, the lifeguards have the best parking. If there's some flexibility on moving those, then, I think we could put the bike racks in a really much more ideal place. The next steps are, I'm working on getting budget comparisons so that we can really look at because we talked about the vocational school, aesthetically pleasing, but perhaps more expensive bike rack. What Nancy and I were looking at were more just utilitarian bike racks that could fit more bikes, but wouldn't necessarily be as pretty. So trying to get some costs together that would show this is what the bike rack utilitarian could be cost, this is what the more aesthetic, but then also have costs of labor of installation, concrete pad, anchor bolts, that sort of thing. I've got a meeting set up with Jeff at the DPW for tomorrow. So I'm supposed to go talk with him about it and kind of brainstorm with him and see what might make sense. For the beaches, for what Nancy's wanting to do town-wide, we definitely would need to know what the DPW can or cannot do. But for the beaches, I'm kind of wondering if perhaps we might be able to solicit some of the there's a lot of landscape companies that do hardscaping. And so I wouldn't be surprised if some of them could do just a small concrete pads. If it's asphalt, then depending on the style, you can just mount directly to the asphalt, but a concrete pad's usually better. So that might be something that we could perhaps find a way to get that portion donated, but then the DPW do the installation. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I'll have more to come, I think, next week. And then Nancy agreed with you, Kelly, where she definitely likes the idea of going to the CPC to fund some of this. And if we can, kind of shoot for the moon and say, this is what we want for all of the beaches, and then they could pull us back, or maybe they say, go for it. I don't know. But by our next meeting, my goal is to have a much more identified costs and also some diagrams with some locations. I'll probably send some of the locations up ahead of that, but I'll revisit with DPW will know where the porta potties are going, because I knew where they were at Peggotty and Minot, but I didn't realize they were that close at Egypt.
And it sounds like it won't be porta potties. It's going to be like a
Yeah, it might be something really
thing
nice.
this year. So you just I would double check where that's going to go.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they know yet, but
All right. So lots of progress there on the bike racks. Good job, Andrea. Beach Association Social. Miss Kate.
yeah, so I have not made much progress with that other than soliciting from Anne, and I had reached out to another member of one of the associations and didn't hear back, just to get a pulse check on whether that's something they'd be interested in. Now that I've made a couple of connections, right? Just sort of starting the ball rolling on whether it's something that would be palatable or interesting. And I did get some positive feedback that yes, it would. And Anne actually mentioned that if we wanted to use their Humrock like clubhouse sort of situation, we could, if we wanted to try to do it there. Parking may be an issue, but I think most people have Scituate town stickers and could park in the Scituate town lot, so it may not be an issue. I wanted to get a feel for whether that's something, like the reaction of you all on that, before going back to a couple of the other ideas that we had. Now the weather's turning. I feel like now's the time to do something, especially if we want to do it outside ahead of the season.
Hummerock's too
Oh,
far.
sorry.
Hummerock's too far. That's all I want to say. Go ahead,
I
Rich.
thought so too.
I was thinking, and I'll just leave it there. Is it a good look for the beach commission to be sponsoring alcohol that's prohibited on beaches at a beach? I know it's not like an official kind of thing, but technically no alcohol is allowed at Peggotty, and we talked about bringing alcohol and having a get together at Peggotty.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, like the location of it from that perspective.
I know it's not, it's more of like a, I don't know if we want to make it, if we make it all official, we probably definitely don't want to do it. If we want to make it unofficial and just like a fun get together, I think maybe that's a different thing.
I think there's also a difference between us sponsoring the alcohol and us inviting people to bring your own. So. I
But
don't
it
know.
is technically a rule, Rich, right? Like, as your point is like,
right.
it's a rule that you shouldn't be having. You shouldn't have alcohol on the beach.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I have
Like,
not.
I guess it just takes one person there who is a rule follower to say the entire beach commission was drinking against town rules on the beach.
I have the same thing when I, like in the winter months, I'll let my dog off leash on the beach sometimes. And then I'm like, shit, I'm on the beach commission. If I like, should I be letting her run? You know, but there's no one down here. So yeah, no, I understand exactly what you're saying, that it could end up biting us in a way we didn't want it.
I have not abandoned my, like, our original thinking on either Untold or Drift In or something of that nature. Not necessarily we purchase, but just ask them if would you mind if we advertise that we're all going to meet here, kind of thing, on a Thursday night or Wednesday night or something like that. I have a feeling people, any business that is a cash only sort of cash bar type situation is going to be happy to have us, because it increases their business too, right? I still go back to that being our best chance of getting engagement. And I agree. I do like Humrock, but it's too far to expect people to go out there. I appreciated the offer, but I'm not sure it suits the need for this particular event.
I like the idea of the Drift In myself, being it's a really new business. It would be good to support them.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful view. It's sort of centrally located. I feel like we tap on Told for a lot, or have them as, you know, an easy place for. Let me restart there, and I'll talk to Arlene and Mick and see. In terms of timing, I did the June 10th cleanup because we're going to be promoting that as well. So just looking at a calendar, and I just got a notification that my internet is unstable. So sorry if I cut out. So if we look at a calendar, if we wanted to try to target a date, at this point, I would say after Memorial Day. Hang on, sorry, everything's moving slowly. after Memorial Day, and then the week after is our cleanup on the 10th. So what if we targeted like the week of June 19th? It's far enough ahead of the 4th of July holiday. It's right around when like I feel like beach season really kicks off, because June is always a little hit or miss. What do we think about like the Wednesday or Thursday, June 21st or 22nd?
I like Wednesday or Thursday. I don't have plans for either right now.
I personally will still be out of town. We're going for about 2.5 weeks.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Andrea, when will you be back?
that weekend, the 24th, I think. We're
Okay.
driving. We're seeing a bunch of family. My husband's working remotely.
So maybe push it to the next week.
Could always do the week after, yeah, the 28th
I have meetings Tuesday. and
or 29th.
Wednesday, the 6th. Thursday, the 29th. I like it.
Works for me.
All right, let's target that, and I'll chat with maybe I'll reach out to Arlene from Drift In and just see if that's something they wouldn't mind hosting us for. And if we can maybe have a couple apps and then let people buy their own drinks. Kelly, did you say we have a small budget for this? You said $100, I thought, right?
You know what's really sad is I went back to Nancy Holt about that, and she wrote back, the only people that can spend money from the beach sticker revolving fund are the DPW director and the recreation director. And I said, well, Mara Glancy, that was recreation director at this time, and she approved it. And Nancy didn't even respond after that.
Okay.
So I guess, and Mara Glancy had said yes, and she's no longer the director. That doesn't matter. But I'm going to ask Nick about it. I was hoping to see
Okay.
him.
So
previous to this one.
TBD.
Yes.
TBD.
Definitely.
Okay. I'll follow up on that. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad to have some direction on what we're thinking for like location and time, because now I can zone in on actually trying to get something pulled together. Okay, perfect.
All right. Anything else on that?
No.
All right. Next meeting, Wednesday, June 14th, 6 p.m. Good with everyone for now? I know things can change.
Yep. Yes.
Any other business that could reasonably come before the Beach Commission? Seeing none, I will call the meeting to a close. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Kate. All in favor?
Bye.
Motion carries 4-0. Thanks everybody for coming to the meeting tonight. I know it
Bye.
was very